The alien girl was bullied by everyone, until one human stepped in. Hovering ships glided between the domed buildings, and children of many shapes, sizes, and colors ran along the streets, laughing and playing games unique to each species. For most, Nova Prime was a wonder, a place of adventure, friendship, and endless discovery. But for Lyra, the violet-skinned alien girl with delicate bioluminescent markings along her arms and hair, it felt more like a prison. She walked quietly along the edge of the central square, her small hands clutching the straps of her worn backpack. The sunlight glinted off the faint glow of her markings, making her shimmer slightly as she moved. But instead of admiration, she felt the sting of stares and whispers following her everywhere. "Look at her," one child sneered, pointing. "Why does she always glow like that?" "It's creepy. Yeah, she doesn't even talk properly," another added. "She's so weird." Lyra's heart sank. She had tried many times to join in the games, to answer questions in class, or even to sit with others during meals. But no matter what she did, there was always someone ready to ridicule her. So now she avoided the central areas of the colony, preferring the quiet corners where she could think and breathe. She found solace in the Sky Gardens, a large, floating park suspended above the colony. The gardens were filled with alien plants that glowed softly under the twin suns, and small automated drones tended the greenery. Lyra loved the quiet hum of the machines, the scent of flowers mixed with the faint tang of metal in the air, and the way the sun sparkled off the pools of water. Here, no one mocked her. Here, she could be herself. As she crouched near a patch of bioluminescent lilies, adjusting the small drone she had found and fixed earlier that morning, she felt a presence behind her. "Hey," a voice said gently. Lyra froze, her large, violet eyes darting up. There, standing a few feet away, was a human boy. His brown hair was messy, his clothes practical and slightly worn from working in the colony's engineering bays, and his blue eyes watched her carefully, but not with ridicule or fear. Instead, they held curiosity. "I'm Ethan," he said, stepping closer. "I haven't seen you around much. Are you fixing that drone?" Lyra blinked. Most people wouldn't even dare speak to her, let alone show interest in what she was doing. But something about Ethan's calm tone made her relax slightly. "Why, yes," she replied quietly. It wasn't working properly. I fixed it." Ethan knelt beside her, examining the small machine. "You did a really good job. I like how you adjusted the energy core. Most of the other kids wouldn't even know where to start." A small smile tugged at Lyra's lips. Compliments were rare and praise rarer still. "Thanks," she whispered, unsure if she should say more. Ethan nodded, clearly respectful of her space. "I don't think I've seen anyone else around here fix one of these." "Most kids just break them by accident," he said with a soft chuckle. For the first time that day, Lyra felt a flicker of warmth in her chest. Someone had noticed her skill, and more importantly, someone wasn't making fun of her. But that warmth didn't last long. From across the garden, she could see them, the children who had made her life miserable for weeks. They were whispering, laughing quietly, and pointing in her direction. One of them, a taller alien boy with green-scaled skin, stepped forward. "Look at Lyra," he called out, voice loud enough to carry. "She thinks she's some kind of genius with her little toy. It's just a stupid drone." The others laughed, and a few small drones nearby whirred nervously. Lyra's hands tightened around her backpack straps. She felt her stomach twist into knots. She had hoped, wished for just one day of peace. But now she knew that was impossible. Ethan, however, didn't move. He stood, his expression steady. "Hey," he said loudly, addressing the boy. "Why don't you leave her alone? She's not bothering anyone, and that drone is way better than anything you've built." The bully froze, surprised by the sudden confrontation. "Who are you? You're not even one of us." "I don't have to be," Ethan replied calmly. "I just don't like seeing someone treated unfairly." "You should try it sometime. It feels better." Lyra watched in amazement. No one had ever defended her like that. Not teachers, not adults, not even the other children. Ethan's words were simple, but they carried a strength she had never seen in anyone else. The bully scowled, clearly unsure what to do. The other children muttered and slowly backed away, some whispering to each other. Ethan gave Lyra a reassuring nod. "You okay?" he asked gently. Lyra nodded, though her voice was still small. I think so," Ethan smiled. "Good. I'm glad. You shouldn't have to be afraid just because you're different." The words lingered in Lyra's mind. Different. That's exactly what she had felt every day, and yet, for the first time, someone treated it not as a flaw, but as something worth noticing. Over the next few days, Lyra found herself looking for Ethan in the colony. She saw him helping other humans repair small machines, teaching them how to adjust energy cores and improve efficiency. But every time he noticed her, he smiled and asked how her drone experiments were going. Slowly, she began sharing her ideas, explaining how she could improve the small drones to tend the gardens more efficiently or assist in minor repairs around the colony. It wasn't just the praise that mattered, it was the validation. For the first time, Lyra felt that her skills had value. Someone believed in her, and that belief made her believe in herself a little more. Of course, the bullying didn't stop entirely. Some children still whispered behind her back, and a few older kids tried to sabotage her drones by tampering with their circuits. But Lyra began to notice something surprising. The more Ethan stood by her, the less power the bullies seemed to have. Even when they tried to mock her, others started watching, curious at the small human defending the violet-skinned girl. One afternoon, Lyra and Ethan were working in the engineering bay, surrounded by small sparks and whirring drones. Lyra had just finished modifying a drone to recognize specific plants and tend to them automatically. "I think it's ready for testing," she said, her voice tinged with excitement. Ethan leaned over, inspecting her work. "I agree, you've done an amazing job. I can't wait to see it in action." When Lyra released the drone into the sky garden, it hovered with precision, scanning the plants and beginning its work without error. Small petals stirred in its wake, and the colony's workers stopped to watch. Some even clapped softly, impressed by the machine's efficiency. Lyra's heart swelled. For once, she felt seen, not for her glowing skin, not for her differences, but for her abilities and ideas. Ethan watched her reaction and smiled. "See, you've got real talent. Don't let anyone make you think otherwise." Lyra nodded, her eyes shining with a mix of pride and determination. She didn't know what the future held, but for the first time, she felt ready to face it. Not alone, but with a friend who believed in her, who reminded her that being different was not something to hide. It was something to embrace. As the twin suns began to set, casting long shadows across Nova Prime, Lyra looked at the horizon. Somewhere out there, beyond the domed colony, the stars awaited, vast and full of possibilities. And with Ethan by her side, she felt ready to explore them, to discover not only new machines and ideas, but the strength within herself. Lyra had been bullied by everyone, laughed at and ignored. But now, thanks to one human who had stepped in, she felt something she hadn't felt in a long time: hope. And hope, she realized, could be stronger than fear, brighter than ridicule, and more powerful than loneliness. The path ahead was uncertain, but Lyra knew one thing for sure: this was only the beginning of her story. The twin suns of Nova Prime rose slowly over the horizon, painting the colony in shades of gold and rose. The streets buzzed with life as children of many species ran between the domes, laughing and shouting in languages Lyra sometimes didn't understand. But today, Lyra felt a little different. She wasn't entirely alone. She had Ethan, a human boy who had stood up for her yesterday, and that made her heart feel lighter. She walked carefully through the central plaza, carrying a small crate of replacement drone parts. Her bioluminescent markings glowed faintly in the morning light, and she kept her head down, hoping no one would notice her. But she could hear the whispers before she even entered the square. "Look, it's the glowing girl again. She thinks she's so smart with her little drones." Lyra's chest tightened. She had hoped for a peaceful morning, but the bullies never rested. She tried to ignore them, but it was hard. Every step felt heavier when eyes followed her, judging, laughing, or sneering. Then she heard a familiar voice. "Hey, Lyra!" It was Ethan. He waved from across the plaza, holding a small toolkit. His smile was bright and warm, like sunlight breaking through clouds. "I thought I'd find you here," he called. "Need some help?" Lyra hesitated for a moment, then nodded. She was tired of carrying everything alone, and his company made her feel less nervous. Together, they walked toward the outskirts of the plaza, where a quiet alley led to the maintenance bay. As they worked side by side, Ethan handed her a screwdriver and adjusted a small panel on her latest drone. "You've got a good eye for detail," he said. "Most people would miss this tiny circuit problem." Lyra smiled faintly. Praise was still strange to her, but it felt good. "Thank you," she whispered. I like fixing things. Machines are easier than people sometimes." Ethan chuckled. "I know what you mean. Machines don't judge you or make fun of you. They just work with you if you know what to do." Lyra nodded. "Exactly." For a while they worked in comfortable silence, the sound of small tools clicking and drones whirring around them. But then, the moment of peace shattered. From the far side of the plaza, the taller alien boy, the one who always mocked her, stepped forward, flanked by a few of his friends. They looked at Lyra with that same mixture of cruelty and amusement. "You again?" the tall boy sneered. "Why do you keep showing off your stupid drones? You're not part of us." Lyra's stomach twisted. Her hands trembled slightly as she held the drone panel. She wanted to run, to hide, but she also knew she couldn't let her work get destroyed. Before she could speak, Ethan stepped in, placing himself slightly in front of her. His expression was calm but firm. "Leave her alone," he said, his voice steady. "She hasn't done anything to you, she's just trying to fix her drone. Why are you being so mean?" The bully stared at him, clearly surprised. "Who are you to tell us what to do? You're not even one of us." "I don't have to be," Ethan replied. "I just know that being mean is wrong, and I don't like it when someone gets hurt for no reason." There was a pause. The square was quiet except for the faint hum of drones and the rustling of nearby plants. Other children and workers had begun to watch, curious about the confrontation. Lyra felt a surge of hope. No one had ever defended her like this before. Even if it didn't stop everything, this small act of courage made her feel that maybe, just maybe, she didn't have to face the world alone. The bully sneered but backed off slightly, unsure how to respond. "This isn't over," he muttered, and with a few muttered words to his friends, he stalked away. Ethan turned to Lyra and offered a reassuring smile. "Are you okay?" Lyra nodded, though her voice was small. I think so, thank you." "You don't have to thank me," Ethan said. "You'd do the same for me if it were reversed, right?" Lyra considered this. She wasn't used to thinking of herself as capable of courage, but perhaps she could be brave in small ways, just like Ethan. Over the next few days, their friendship grew quietly. Lyra showed Ethan how she fixed drones and other small machines in the colony. Ethan, in return, taught her how to understand human tools and gadgets that weren't always compatible with alien designs. Together, they built small drones that could move faster, detect problems more efficiently, and even help tend to the sky gardens automatically. One morning, Lyra carefully adjusted a drone's sensors while Ethan held the tool case steady. "I think this one could water the plants on its own," she said excitedly. "It might even help the gardeners save time." Ethan smiled. "That's amazing, Lyra. You're really good at this. Have you thought about entering the Interstellar Robotics Challenge?" "I think your skills could really shine there." Lyra's eyes widened. The challenge was for the best young inventors in the colony, and she had always been too afraid to try. She imagined the other kids laughing, mocking her in front of judges and spectators. I don't know," she whispered. "What if they make fun of me?" Ethan shook his head gently. "Then they'll see what they're missing. You're talented, Lyra. You deserve a chance to show it." For the first time, Lyra felt the tiny spark of confidence inside her begin to glow brighter. Maybe it wasn't just about avoiding ridicule anymore. It was about proving to herself that she could do something meaningful. That afternoon, as the twin suns began to set, Lyra practiced her drone in the gardens. The drone moved smoothly between the plants, adjusting its arms to water flowers and even collect small fallen leaves. Workers passing by stopped to watch, nodding in appreciation. Some whispered, clearly impressed. Lyra felt her chest swell with pride. She wasn't just the bullied girl anymore, she was a creator, a thinker, someone who could make a difference. Then, without warning, the bully returned, this time with a larger group. They surrounded her, blocking the sun as they sneered. "Trying to impress everyone, huh?" the tall boy said. "No one cares about your stupid drones." Lyra's hands shook, but she didn't back down. She looked at the drone, then at Ethan, who stood behind her, calm and ready. Ethan stepped forward again. "Leave her alone," he said firmly. "I don't want to see anyone getting hurt for no reason. You've had your fun, now go." The bully scowled. "Or what?" Ethan didn't answer with threats or anger. Instead, he calmly raised his tool case not as a weapon but as a sign of readiness. "Or I'll make sure your plan doesn't work. That's all, don't test me." There was something in his tone, quiet, confident, unafraid, that made the bullies hesitate. Slowly, they muttered under their breath and left, still disgruntled but powerless to stop the moment. Lyra let out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. You really didn't have to do that," she said softly. Ethan shrugged, smiling. "I did." "And besides, you'd do the same for me, right?" Lyra laughed quietly, a sound she hadn't made in a long time. She realized that courage didn't always come from being big or strong. It sometimes came from standing firm and choosing to do the right thing. That evening, the two of them walked through the sky gardens, the soft glow of Lyra's markings blending with the luminescent plants. "Thank you," Lyra said again, her voice firmer now. I feel like I can actually try things now, maybe even enter the robotics challenge." Ethan nodded. "You should, and I'll help you every step of the way." For the first time, Lyra didn't feel small or powerless. She felt seen, valued, and ready to face the world, even if the path was uncertain. And with Ethan beside her, she felt that no bully, no sneer, and no obstacle could stop her from learning, growing, and proving her worth. As the twin suns dipped below the horizon, the colony lights flickered on, reflecting in the pools of water in the gardens. Lyra looked at Ethan and smiled. She knew that the future wouldn't be easy, but it would be brighter than any day she had spent alone. This was only the beginning, and for the first time, Lyra believed that one act of courage could change everything. The morning sun spilled across Nova Prime, casting warm light over the colony's domed buildings. Lyra walked with purpose through the central plaza, a small crate of tools and drone parts clutched in her hands. Today, she wasn't just tinkering for fun. She had made a decision. She would enter the Interstellar Robotics Challenge, the biggest youth competition on the colony, and she would do it with her best work yet. Beside her, Ethan walked with the same energy and curiosity that had inspired her since their first meeting. He carried a set of blueprints he had drawn for a new drone design. "I've been thinking about how we can make your drone even better," he said. "If it can water plants, monitor the gardens, and report issues automatically, it'll stand out in the competition." Lyra's violet markings pulsed faintly with excitement. She nodded. "Yes, but it's complicated. I want it to be fully autonomous, but I'm not sure how to make it handle unexpected problems." Ethan grinned. "Then we figure it out together. We'll test every possibility, every scenario. You've got the talent and I've got ideas. That's a team." For the first time, Lyra felt that the future wasn't something to fear. It was something to build. The next few days were a whirlwind of planning, building, and testing. Lyra and Ethan worked side by side in the engineering bay, the room alive with the hum of machines, the faint smell of heated metal, and the constant clicks of tools. Lyra adjusted tiny circuits with meticulous care while Ethan double-checked the energy cores and the navigation system. Sometimes, when a part didn't work as expected, they would pause, brainstorm, and experiment again. Slowly, their drone became more than just a machine. It was a reflection of their teamwork and creativity. During one particularly long afternoon, Lyra leaned back and wiped the sweat from her brow. "I don't know if this will work," she admitted. "It's complicated, and what if the judges do like it?" Ethan smiled reassuringly. "The judges will see your hard work and your talent. You're not building this for them, you're building this for yourself. That's what matters." Lyra's heart lifted. He was right. She wasn't just trying to impress anyone else. She was learning, creating, and discovering what she was capable of. And that sense of purpose gave her courage she had never felt before. Even though she focused on her drone, the colony's children and workers began to notice her efforts. Some watched curiously from the sidelines as the duo tested the drone in the gardens. A few whispered quietly, clearly impressed, while others simply shook their heads in surprise. One day, as Lyra and Ethan prepared to test a new feature that allowed the drone to map the garden's layout, a group of younger children approached. "Is that your drone?" one of them asked timidly. Lyra nodded, feeling a small flutter of pride. "Yes, it can water plants, report problems, and even detect broken equipment." The children's eyes widened. "Wow, that's amazing. Can you show us?" Lyra hesitated for a moment, remembering all the times she had been ignored or laughed at, but Ethan gave her an encouraging nod. "Go ahead," he whispered. With a deep breath, Lyra activated the drone. It lifted smoothly into the air, scanning the garden with precise movements. Its arms adjusted to water flowers in small arcs, while its sensors highlighted areas that needed attention. The children clapped and cheered softly, and Lyra felt warmth spreading in her chest. "I didn't know you could do this," one child said. "You're really smart." Lyra blinked, taken aback. No one had said that to her in a long time. She smiled shyly. "Thank you," she replied softly. Even as she enjoyed the small victory, the challenges weren't gone. The taller alien boy who had bullied her still lurked on the outskirts of the gardens, watching with narrowed eyes. He didn't interfere yet, but his presence reminded her that not everyone would be happy about her growing success. Ethan noticed her tension. "Don't worry about him," he said gently. "You're here to do your best, and that's what counts." Lyra nodded, focusing again on the drone. She began to add a new feature, a small camera system that could help identify any issues in the garden automatically and alert the gardeners through a simple interface. It was delicate work, requiring precision and careful planning, but she thrived under the challenge. By the end of the week, their drone had evolved significantly. It could now water plants, monitor for broken equipment, map the garden layout, and send alerts to the control system. Lyra's excitement grew. She realized that the drone was not just a machine. It was a symbol of her ability to learn, create, and overcome fear. One afternoon, as the sun dipped lower, Lyra and Ethan decided to take a break. They sat on a bench in the sky gardens, watching the drones hover and tend the plants automatically. "You know," Ethan said thoughtfully, "I think your skills are going to surprise a lot of people at the robotics challenge. They're going to see that talent comes in all shapes and sizes, even violet-skinned girls with glowing markings." Lyra laughed softly. "I hope so. I'm still scared, though. What if something goes wrong?" Ethan shrugged. "Then we fix it. That's what inventors do. Mistakes aren't failures, they're lessons." Lyra felt comforted by his words. Together, they brainstormed improvements, added new circuits, and tested each change repeatedly. The long hours in the workshop became exciting adventures of discovery. Lyra realized that learning with someone who believed in her made every challenge feel smaller, every problem solvable. As the robotics challenge approached, Lyra's confidence grew. She could feel herself changing, not just as a creator, but as a person. The fear that had once kept her small and hidden began to fade. She no longer wished to hide. She wanted to show the world what she could do. And yet, she didn't forget the bullying that had shaped her early days. When the taller alien boy approached one afternoon, she felt her chest tighten. But Ethan stayed by her side, quietly holding her hand as a sign of support. "What do you want?" Lyra asked, her voice steadier than she expected. The bully sneered but said nothing. He left with a dismissive wave, and for the first time, Lyra realized that his opinion no longer controlled her. The day of the robotics challenge arrived, and the colony buzzed with excitement. Children and young inventors gathered from all corners, showing off drones, small vehicles, and creative machines. Lyra felt a mixture of nerves and excitement. Her hands trembled slightly as she wheeled her drone into the arena, but Ethan's calm presence beside her steadied her. "Ready?" he asked. Lyra nodded. "Ready." When the judges arrived to inspect the machines, Lyra demonstrated her drone. It moved gracefully through the test course, watering plants, mapping obstacles, and alerting to simulated problems in the garden. The judges watched, impressed by the precision and creativity of her design. Lyra felt a small thrill. For the first time, she realized that her work, her effort, her creativity, and her determination could make a real impact. She wasn't just the bullied girl anymore. She was an inventor, a thinker, and someone who could inspire others. Even as she focused on her performance, she noticed the children in the audience whispering and pointing. Some of them smiled, clearly impressed. Others looked at her differently, no longer with mockery, but with curiosity and respect. After the demonstration, Ethan gave her a thumbs up. "See, you did it, you're amazing." Lyra's heart swelled. She realized that courage and skill could change how others saw her. But more importantly, they had changed how she saw herself. The bond she shared with Ethan had given her the confidence to embrace her talents and step into the light, leaving fear and loneliness behind. As the sun set over Nova Prime, Lyra packed up her drone, feeling a mix of exhaustion and triumph. She knew challenges lay ahead, more competitions, more doubts, more people who might try to bring her down. But she also knew that with determination, skill, and friends who believed in her, she could face anything. That evening, as Lyra and Ethan walked through the sky gardens, the glowing plants reflecting her shimmering markings, she whispered softly, "Thank you for believing in me." Ethan smiled. "You don't need to thank me. You did all the hard work. I just reminded you how strong you already are." Lyra looked at the stars beginning to appear above the colony's domes. For the first time, she felt not only hope but possibility. The universe was vast, full of adventures and challenges, and she was ready to meet them head-on. This was only the beginning. Lyra had learned that being different was a strength, that friendship could light the darkest paths, and that courage, even small acts of courage, could change everything. And with Ethan by her side, she felt unstoppable. The morning of the Interstellar Robotics Challenge dawned bright and clear over Nova Prime. The colony's main arena buzzed with energy as children, young inventors, and curious spectators filled the stands. Drones of all sizes hovered over the fields, small machines rolled across obstacle courses, and inventive gadgets whirred and clicked as their creators prepared for the trials. Lyra tightened her grip on the controls of her drone, her violet markings glowing faintly in the sunlight. Beside her, Ethan adjusted a sensor on the drone's arm, his hands steady despite the excitement around them. "Are you nervous?" Ethan asked, glancing at her. Lyra shook her head, though a tiny flutter of worry remained in her chest. "A little, but I think I'm ready." "You'll do great," Ethan said confidently. "Just remember everything we practiced. Trust yourself." Lyra nodded, taking a deep breath. She had spent weeks designing, testing, and refining her drone, and now it was time to show the colony what she was capable of. The competition began with the Garden Navigation Challenge, a test of speed, precision, and adaptability. Drones had to move through a maze of plants, avoiding obstacles while watering flowers and collecting data about the garden's health. Lyra's hands moved deftly over the controls as her drone lifted smoothly into the air. The machine glided between rows of glowing plants, its sensors scanning and adjusting automatically. It watered flowers carefully, identified damaged equipment, and mapped the garden's layout with precision. Spectators murmured in admiration as they watched the small drone perform flawlessly. Lyra's heart swelled with pride. Every long hour in the workshop, every mistake, and every adjustment had led to this moment. She wasn't just showing off a machine, she was showing her skill, creativity, and determination. But the challenge wasn't over yet. As she prepared for the final demonstration, a sudden movement caught her eye. The taller alien boy who had bullied her all year, along with a small group of older competitors, was approaching the testing area. Lyra's chest tightened. She knew exactly what they were planning: sabotage. Ethan noticed her tense posture. "Don't worry," he whispered. "We've prepared for this. Just focus on your drone." The bullies glanced around to make sure no one was watching and subtly adjusted one of the small equipment panels near Lyra's test area. If unnoticed, it could interfere with the drone's sensors, causing it to malfunction. Lyra's hands hovered nervously over the controls, her mind racing. Then a small voice spoke up from behind them. "Lyra, look out!" Lyra turned to see a younger child from the colony, pointing at the equipment. Her violet markings brightened with shock and relief. She quickly noticed the panel had been tampered with and realized the sabotage could ruin her demonstration. Ethan's hand rested gently on her shoulder. "You've got this," he said. "We can fix it together fast." With calm determination, Lyra adjusted the panel, rewired a small connection, and double-checked her drone system. Her hands moved with precision, and within moments the drone was ready again. The bullies watched, surprised that their plan had failed. Lyra's confidence surged. She activated the drone once more, and this time it flew flawlessly through the course. The judges leaned forward, impressed by the drone's smooth movements and adaptability. Spectators clapped, some even cheering loudly. Lyra felt her heart lift. She realized that courage wasn't about being fearless, it was about acting despite fear. And today, she had acted. Next came the problem-solving challenge, where drones had to identify damaged plants, repair malfunctioning equipment, and alert the colony's control systems. Lyra's drone glided smoothly over the course, sensors detecting every flaw and completing tasks with ease. Ethan whispered advice when needed, but mostly he let Lyra lead. She had learned how to trust her instincts and apply everything she had practiced. When the drone completed the final task, a collective cheer rose from the audience. The final test was a demonstration for the judges, where inventors explained the functionality and innovation of their machines. Lyra stepped forward, her heart pounding, and spoke clearly. "This drone is designed to help maintain our sky gardens efficiently. It can water plants, identify damaged equipment, and map the garden automatically. It works to support the gardeners and keep our colony healthy," she explained, her voice steady despite the nerves. The judges nodded, asking questions about the design, energy systems, and the algorithms she had programmed. Lyra answered confidently, explaining each detail. The crowd listened intently, impressed not only by the drone but by the young inventor who had built it. Even the children who had whispered and stared before now watched with admiration. Some of them smiled, clearly inspired by Lyra's courage and skill. Then, a sudden commotion arose from the side of the arena. One of the bullies had accidentally triggered a small malfunction in another competitor's machine. Chaos threatened to spread across the course. Without hesitation, Lyra's drone adjusted its sensors and flew to stabilize the equipment, helping prevent damage. The judges were impressed by this quick thinking. Not only is this drone innovative, one said, but it also shows adaptability and problem-solving. Well done. Lyra exhaled in relief. She realized that the challenge wasn't just about winning. It was about using her skills to make a difference, even in unexpected situations. When the final scores were tallied, Lyra's drone was announced as one of the top entries. She had not only completed the tasks flawlessly, but had demonstrated creativity, adaptability, and resilience under pressure. The taller alien boy and his friends looked on silently, their previous arrogance replaced by surprise. For the first time, Lyra didn't feel fear or anger toward them. Instead, she felt pride in herself and her work. Ethan stepped beside her, grinning. "See, I told you, you were amazing." Lyra smiled, her violet markings glowing softly. "We did it," she whispered. She realized that this was more than just a victory in a competition. It was a victory over doubt, fear, and loneliness. Later, during the awards ceremony, Lyra stood proudly with her drone. Judges praised her ingenuity, careful design, and ability to overcome challenges. Some of the colony's children approached, congratulating her and asking questions about her work. For the first time, Lyra felt respected and valued not for her appearance, but for her talents and courage. The bullies who had once tormented her watched quietly, unable to deny her achievement. As the ceremony ended and the crowd dispersed, Lyra and Ethan walked through the gardens, the air glowing with soft evening light. "You know," Ethan said thoughtfully, "today wasn't just about drones. It was about showing that courage, kindness, and determination matter more than fear or ridicule." Lyra nodded, a warm feeling spreading in her chest. "I understand that now. And I'm not going to let anyone make me feel small again." Together, they looked at the horizon where the twin suns were setting. The colony glimmered in the soft light, and the sky gardens shimmered with the glow of Lyra's markings. She felt ready for whatever challenges the future might hold. The robotics challenge had tested her in ways she never expected. It had pushed her to solve problems under pressure, to face fear, and to trust in her abilities. And through it all, Ethan had been there, reminding her that courage wasn't about being alone. It was about standing together, believing in yourself, and helping others when you can. Lyra realized that this was only the beginning of her journey. The stars beyond Nova Prime beckoned with endless possibilities. One day, she would explore them, using her creativity and intelligence to make a real difference in the universe. But for now, she was content to enjoy this moment of triumph, knowing that she had overcome not only the challenge, but also the fear and doubt that had held her back. As the night settled over the colony, Lyra glanced at Ethan and smiled. She had faced the challenge, and she had succeeded. And she knew without a doubt that together they could accomplish anything. The morning after the Interstellar Robotics Challenge, Nova Prime was alive with excitement. News of the top inventions and their young creators spread quickly through the colony. Lyra walked through the central plaza, her violet markings glowing softly in the gentle sunlight. For the first time, she noticed smiles, nods, and even curious questions from children who had once ignored or mocked her. Beside her, Ethan carried a small toolkit and grinned. "Looks like the colony finally realized what we already knew," he said. Lyra laughed softly. "I think so. I still can't believe it." "Believe it," Ethan replied. "You earned every bit of this recognition." As they approached the main dome, a crowd of colony leaders, judges, and children had gathered for the recognition ceremony. The announcer, a tall alien with silver feathers and a warm voice, called Lyra's name. "We are proud to honor a young inventor who has shown creativity, courage, and the ability to overcome challenges. Lyra's drone has proven not only innovative, but also incredibly helpful to the colony's sky gardens." Lyra's heart thumped. She stepped forward, her hands trembling slightly. The applause from the crowd was louder than anything she had ever heard. For a moment she froze, overwhelmed by the recognition. Then she saw Ethan standing in the back, smiling and giving her a thumbs up. That small gesture reminded her that she wasn't alone. Lyra took a deep breath. "Thank you," she said, her voice steady. I'm honored to receive this recognition, but I didn't do it alone. My friend Ethan helped me every step of the way, and I want everyone to know that courage, curiosity, and kindness can make a difference. Anyone can learn, create, and contribute, no matter who they are or what they look like. The crowd clapped even more enthusiastically. Some children whispered to each other, clearly inspired by her words. She realized that she wasn't just being recognized for her invention, but also for her courage and determination. After the ceremony, Lyra and Ethan walked through the plaza, noticing the changes around them. The children who had once whispered and laughed now looked at Lyra with curiosity, some even approaching her. "Your drone is amazing," a young alien boy said shyly. "Can you show me how it works?" asked a smaller human girl, her eyes wide with excitement. Lyra felt a warm glow in her chest. She nodded eagerly. "Of course," she said. "I'll show you everything." Even the taller alien boy, the one who had bullied her in the past, stood at the edge of the crowd. He seemed unsure, but eventually he stepped forward. I guess I didn't understand before," he admitted quietly. "Your drone is really good. I'm sorry for how I treated you." Lyra looked at him for a moment, then smiled. "Thank you, that means a lot. I hope we can all learn from this." Ethan nudged her gently. "See, you're inspiring people already." Lyra nodded, realizing that her journey had changed more than just herself. She had shown that talent, courage, and determination could earn respect and admiration, even from those who once doubted her. Over the next few days, Lyra's life began to change in small but meaningful ways. Colony leaders asked her to help design new drones and machines to improve daily life. Other children sought her advice on their own inventions. The Sky Gardens, once maintained solely by automated systems and tired workers, now flourished under the care of Lyra's drones. Lyra worked tirelessly with Ethan, teaching younger inventors and continuing to improve her designs. Together, they experimented with new functions: drones that could assist in small repairs, drones that could monitor energy use, and even drones that could help with research projects. Each invention was better than the last, and each success reinforced Lyra's confidence. One evening, after a long day of testing a new drone that could monitor water levels in the colony's farms, Lyra and Ethan sat on a bench in the Sky Gardens. The twin suns had set, leaving the sky bathed in soft purple and gold hues. "You know," Lyra said thoughtfully, "I never imagined I'd feel like this, respected, appreciated, like I belong." Ethan smiled. "You've always belonged. It just took a little courage and the right friend to show everyone else." Lyra nodded, feeling a warmth spread through her chest. "I couldn't have done it without you, Ethan. You believed in me when no one else did." He shrugged, his usual modest grin on his face. "I didn't do anything special. I just reminded you of what you already knew, how strong and capable you are." Lyra laughed softly, her eyes sparkling. "I hope we can keep building together. There's so much more we can do." Ethan's eyes lit up. "Absolutely, we've only just begun. Imagine what we could do beyond Nova Prime. There are stars out there, and I think we could reach them one day." Lyra felt a thrill of excitement at the thought. The universe was vast, full of endless possibilities. For the first time, she didn't feel small or powerless. She felt capable, inspired, and ready to explore. The colony had changed too. Children who had once bullied or ignored her now asked questions, shared ideas, and even looked to her as a role model. Workers and teachers praised her creativity, diligence, and problem-solving skills. And even those who had doubted her, like the tall alien boy, had begun to see the value of courage, kindness, and collaboration. Lyra realized that this was what humanity could bring to the galaxy: compassion, ingenuity, and the courage to do what's right. She had witnessed it firsthand in Ethan, and now she could share it with others. The following week, Lyra and Ethan were invited to present their work at a colony-wide innovation expo. Their drones and other small machines fascinated visitors, inspiring younger inventors to try new designs and solve real problems. Lyra spoke confidently about her journey, emphasizing the importance of persistence, learning from mistakes, and helping others. After the presentation, a small group of children gathered around her, asking questions. Lyra patiently explained her design choices, demonstrating the drones' functions and encouraging them to experiment and explore. Ethan assisted quietly, offering guidance when needed. Lyra realized that she had found her place, not just as an inventor, but as a leader, a teacher, and a symbol of courage and ingenuity. She understood that success wasn't only about recognition. It was about lifting others, sharing knowledge, and inspiring change. One evening, as the twin suns set and the sky gardens glowed in soft light, Lyra and Ethan sat side by side. The hum of drones filled the air, a reminder of all they had built together. "Do you remember the first day we met?" Ethan asked with a grin. Lyra laughed softly. "Yes. You stepped in when everyone else was being mean to me. I didn't understand why at first. I just didn't like seeing someone treated unfairly," Ethan replied simply. "I guess I knew you were capable of something amazing, even if no one else did." Lyra smiled, feeling a deep sense of gratitude. "You were right. Courage, kindness, and curiosity really can change everything." Ethan nodded. "And this is just the beginning. There are more challenges ahead, more inventions to create, and more opportunities to explore. The universe is huge, and I think we can do great things together." Lyra's heart swelled with excitement. For the first time, she didn't feel fear, doubt, or loneliness. She felt ready to face whatever lay ahead, confident in her skills, supported by a true friend, and inspired by the potential of humanity. As the stars began to twinkle above Nova Prime, Lyra looked out over the colony and the sky gardens that now thrived under her care. She realized that the journey had taught her more than just robotics and engineering. It had shown her the power of friendship, the value of courage, and the importance of believing in oneself. She smiled at Ethan, her violet markings glowing brightly in the soft evening light. "Thank you for believing in me," she said. "You never needed me to," Ethan replied with a grin. "You just needed a reminder of how amazing you already are." Lyra laughed softly, feeling lighter than she had in years. The universe stretched endlessly before her, full of possibilities, adventures, and challenges waiting to be met. With courage, friendship, and determination, she knew that anything was possible. The colony had once rejected her, laughed at her, and ignored her. But now, thanks to hard work, talent, and one human who had seen her potential, Lyra stood tall. She was no longer an outcast. She was a creator, a leader, and a shining example of what could be achieved when humanity and determination worked together. And as she looked up at the stars, Lyra knew that this was only the beginning of a lifetime of discovery, adventure, and inspiration.